USCFootball.com, I'm Keely Eure here with Dan Weber for instant analysis of USC's 9th practice of fall camp. Now the Trojans came out on Howard Jones Field after having Sunday off in no pads. Now Dan, I know you and I were a little skeptical at first seeing the Trojans in no pads, but I thought today was a pretty productive practice, all things considered. Dan, what were your takeaways?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a kind of a skill in practicing really hard and being in no pads. I don't think that comes as easily as, you could do the same things in shoulder pads, and for some reason it just seems to kind of focus your attention or whatever. So, as they started, you're thinking, okay, how are they going to handle this? And then I thought they handled it really well. I thought they were very competitive, that they got a lot done. I thought they worked on stuff maybe you wouldn't always, work on. A lot of guys get to return punts, a lot of, specific things, on punt return. Thought they did a lot of things well, and they worked really hard, and they finished up running really hard with some extra running at the end, and they came off of there looking like they'd really gone through a hard practice, and that's great. I mean, I think they can't practice in pads every day. I think the guidelines are, like three a week in preseason, where you have the possibility of thudding or tackling or whatever. So you do have to go some, without full pads for sure. But I thought today was a pretty good effort. Good job.
Yeah, it seemed like Clay Helton's thinking, and he told us as much after practice, is that he's already in the game week mode schedule where they come out no pads Monday, shoulder pads Tuesday, Wednesday, and then full pads on Saturday, obviously for a game. But that's what it looks like for this week. Obviously, the fall showcase is on Saturday for fans, so there'll be full pads. But Dan, what do you think about this thinking of getting into a game week schedule already when you're still kind of in fall camp right now?
Well, I think one of the things that they're benefiting from is they're just getting so many more reps than they did last year. So you can kind of go with the game week schedule. You're still getting 4 quarterbacks, throwing the ball. You're still getting, lots of reps for the quarterbacks when you go in 11 on 11. You're getting, lots of catches and lots of patterns for the receivers. So I think the fact that they've speeded up practice and they get so much more done in the same amount of time, and they know what they're doing. They don't have to huddle up and discuss every play on offense, for example. I mean, they really, one word and boom, they know what they're doing. I think they've really benefited from making things simpler. I mean, the defense, they were doing things today we haven't seen them work on. I think, Clancy's got a confidence in the defense that, this is basically third year doing everything the way Clancy wants them to do it. And I like some of the things, some of the wrinkles we saw that they pulled out for the defense today. And I like the back and forth. The defense did some really good pressure and blitz, made some great plays, but the offense then took advantage and threw some deep balls where they got, one-on-one coverage and that. And that's good. That's the kind of stuff that's going to happen in games. And so I think this was a practice, even in no pads, that carries over, and that they're better at the end of this practice than before, than when they started.
Yeah, exactly. Some of the new wrinkles benefited 2 defensive players today, one of those being safety Talanoa Hufanga, who had 2 interceptions today, and then corner Greg Johnson, who was blitzing a lot, which is not something we've really seen from him so far this fall camp, but he had 2 really well timed blitzes that were effectively sacks for the quarterback, and one of those pressures actually helped Talanoa with one of his interceptions. So some new things we've seen from those guys, and Clay Helton was very complimentary of Hufanga and how far he's come in just a short time.
Yeah, he is, I think, who we think he is. Yeah. I mean, he's got such great ball skills. And as Clay said, last year he's trying to figure out for himself what to do on every play. And he mentioned, once he got in there, he basically played every play till he got hurt. And then I don't even know if we know for sure where Greg Johnson was lining up on those 2 blitzes, but wherever he was, he got terrific timing. And the one blitz, produced a pick 6. So,
yep.
I mean, basically took away, the quarterback's vision. I know the other thing that you're seeing with the defense, besides all the talking, is they're really alert to the football. I mean, if you try to throw it through the line of scrimmage, you're looking at a volleyball situation where they're going up and blocking it. I mean, Drake Jackson got off his feet so quickly one time. I mean, it's it's kind of an awareness. You saw that from Uchenna a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Didn't see that, all that much last year. So again, the more you can do that, and there are things you can't do if you're an offensive or defensive lineman today, but those are some things you can, and I think the things they could do, they did.
Yeah. Now, when you mentioned interceptions, you have to think about the quarterbacks. How did you think they played today, given that they were a little bit limited when you go no pads, especially Matt Fink had those 2 interceptions, but what did you take away?
Well, they made. I will agree with Clay that they made a lot of good throws. They made some really, these guys are throwing. Again, Clay talked about, and I had already written it down as a ghost note, that the deep ball accuracy is really good. And if you come up and press and you really try to take some things away, they'll throw it deep on you. And not only will they throw it pretty accurately, as we saw Saturday, they'll catch it and catch it under coverage. And so. You got to like that. You probably, if you looked at today, it's looking a little bit more like it's JT's team. Hit a couple of back-to-back touchdown throws, and they just look like, he looks like he's in charge a little bit, and he ought to be. He had 11 starts last year. I mean, but again, they keep, nobody's playing. So bad that guys will make a play that's not great and come back and make a good play. So I'm not sure anybody in the country has probably got 4 quarterbacks that they could put on the field and think, we've got a chance in this game. So I know people say, well, how come JT hasn't totally separated himself? I think there is a separation there, but I think the other guys are really playing well. They all, except Keaton had a little tough time Saturday in the scrimmage, but Matt and Jack Sears really played well.
Mm-hmm. Following scrimmages, Clay Helton is a little reluctant to give us his takeaway from position groups just because he hasn't looked at the tape yet. So today he had looked at the tape, and we were able to ask him a couple questions about the offensive line, the defensive line, and the quarterbacks. What did Clay take away from that film review?
Well, I think he said that they had a couple of chances. They had a couple of decent runs, but they had a couple of chances at a couple of more. And, somebody got a hand on the ball or whatever. And he said there were no busted assignments, but there were a couple of opportunities that they didn't cash in on. Thought the protection was good, and talked about how he's getting the guys that have come the farthest and improved the most are the second team guys, which I think this team really needs to push those first team guys. And he mentioned, center Justin Dudich and Liam Jimmons, who looks pretty, solid at right guard. And then Drew Richmond, who's played an awful lot at left tackle, with Austin Jackson working his way back. Although I was impressed with, how far Austin went in practice today. And he looks, every time you watch him, he looks quick and he looks athletic and he looks like he's pretty much ready to be back. But if you've got 8 guys kind of that you feel like can be in a rotation, that's, you got somebody pushing a tackle, somebody pushing a guard, somebody pushing a center. Yeah. That's kind of where you want to be.
As far as quarterbacks go, what did he see from them on Saturday?
Well, I think we saw a lot of good throws by all of them, actually. We saw some more difficult, times for, freshman Slovis, but you can't have better numbers than Matt Fink 10 for 10, yeah. and Jack Sears 20 for 22, and JT with the 22 for 30 and either 4 or 5 touchdowns. This was a productive day for all 3 quarterbacks. I thought they look like they're ready to play, and they've really, I think, been well coached in spring. I think they were able to review in the summer, and I thought Clay was really honest when he said at Pac-12 Media Day that in years past he felt like when they finished August, get ready to walk in for that first game, they still weren't ready on offense. They still didn't have it all installed. They still weren't, and you get the sense right now that they can pretty much do everything they want to do on offense. I mean, they're running. We won't talk about exactly what the plays that they're running, but they're running plays that really require some timing, some finesse, and it looks like they really are comfortable doing that. And so, and I think they're going the right direction with Graham Harrell. The way he's tried to introduce this offense, coach it, scheme it. And I think the quarterbacks are, benefiting. It's as advertised, quarterback friendly. And to this point, he looks pretty friendly for the quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm. As far as injuries go, we were able to get some more clarity from Helton today. Wide receiver Munir McClain actually is going through concussion protocol, so they're holding him out just for precaution. And then I actually need to correct, on Saturday I said it was Abdul Malik McClain who had a right foot issue. It was actually Elijah Winston who had that. I got the numbers confused, but he actually came out today with a boot on his right foot, so we did see that at least correctly, just got the number wrong. But then we also heard about Brandon Peely. He's still day-to-day with that knee, but Clay Helton said he might be able to come back this week, so we'll see about that. Someone that we did see return was John Jackson III, coming back from that hamstring injury. He looks like he's looking pretty good. He ran pretty fast on a deep ball from Keaton, so good news for him there. But any other injury updates that you want to tell them about?
No, I John Jackson, I was kind of stunned the way he was able to, lengthen out his stride on the long ball. I mean, that's the kind of thing, because that's kind of where he got hurt last week.
Yeah.
And for him to come back and just, go down the sidelines like he did, that was really impressive. He went over a lot of people with his ability to come back and his, willingness to do all the rehab it takes, and just what they need, another wide receiver. I mean, they've got enough wide receiver. I mean, I think that's one of the things that's made practice go better, is they've got enough wide receivers. They're not wearing people out. I mean, if you had the 5 or 6 that you thought you could play with last year, that's not enough in this offense. You better be close to that 10, and they're there. And so they can go, they go fast, even when they're switching units and all that. Everything just goes fast, but it doesn't look like they're hurrying. It just is like a natural fast. And as somebody trying to keep track play by play a little bit, it's much more of a challenge this year than last year.
Yeah.
Much more. They're much more ready to go with the next play when you're still trying to type in the last play. So there's no question. I just think they're coaching them up a lot better this year. It just is something that the players are taking to. They like the way they're being coached up.
Mm-hmm. Now, to wrap it up, Dan, this is the last week, actually, of the whole season that we'll be able to see all of practices. Starting next week, we'll be in the regular game week type of situation where we'll see the first 20 minutes of practice, then get kicked out, and then come back for interviews. So it'll be different. But, Dan, what are you expecting to see this final week?
Well, you would hope that what we're going to see this week is what happens every week. The focus is totally on USC. And I mean, not totally, but the big focus is like how we're going to play this game and what our strengths are, and how that's where you want them thinking. Let's make it about us, and not spend a lot of time trying to out scheme and figure out something that they're not going to be ready for. Just say, we're going to do what we do, and we'll see if you can stop it, because we do it better than you can probably get ready in a week to stop it. So you would hope that what we're going to see this week is what happens next week and the week after and the week after. And that'll be the challenge, because that hasn't been how they've done things with Lane Kiffin and Steve Sarkisian, who Clay coached under. And I think there was that sense of, it's about changing things, or, coming up with just the better plays, or changing this. And that didn't allow them to really perfect what they were trying to do. This does. So one would hope that whether we're there or not, they do the same things, and they just keep doing them all season long. When you talk to the players, they say that's what they believe. And, I think that's the way it works well.
Yep, that'll be the question for sure all season long. But that's going to wrap it up for practice number 9 for USC. For Dan Weber, I'm Keely Eure. For more, check out uscfootball.com.